Well, there's lots happening on the markets today, and certainly the Monetary Policy Committee at the Bank of England has voted narrowly. There are 9 members of that Monetary Policy Committee. They decide what the interest rate is going to be in this country. The last 14 times they decided to raise the interest rate, and of course anybody with a mortgage knows that it has changed dramatically over the last while, especially if you're not in a fixed rate mortgage. You'll have seen your bills go up by on average something like £220 a month. I know one person whose mortgage has doubled as a result of it because of the punitive interest rate that they have. Some people say, well, look, that's the risk you take when you have a mortgage. The interest rates can go up and down. But at the same time, there are lots of people who are really watching this very, very closely, because your mortgage is usually your, the biggest thing that comes out of your account every month. I call it Cashmageddon, first of the month when my mortgage comes out. And certainly this is a big decision by the Bank of England to maintain interest rates at 5.25%. I'm delighted that Sophie King is with me. She's a consumer reporter at The Sun. Hi, Sophie. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Thanks for coming into the studio.
Thank you for having me.
I know that a lot of people have watched this really, really closely at 12 o'clock today. It's a big dramatic thing that happens every month. And certainly in terms of people's mortgages, from a consumer perspective, there must be people who are worried about this every month. Is it going to go up? It stayed the same today. Some people said they're kind of shocked by that. What do you make of it?
Yeah, well, most experts were expecting the rate to go up, but luckily, for some people, they can breathe a sigh of relief, especially those with mortgages, like you say, whose payments have been increasing every sort of month for the past 14 months. Hopefully that means that the new rates freezing will mean that rates won't go up anymore, so people can sort of breathe sort of a sigh of relief, and it's good for people.
And I mean, they said economists obviously were worried about this continuing, or thinking it might continue to go up. But could we now say it go down? Do you think there might, maybe next month, fingers crossed?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say right now, and it depends what the bank decides and what other people decide. It could mean that rates go down. A freeze is just, I think we just have to take it what it is, that it's good news that it means they won't go up, but it doesn't mean that they won't go down for mortgages. For savers, though, it's probably bad news, because saving rates have been going up, which means people have been getting more bang for their buck.
We've seen some of those banks, haven't we? Nationwide, for example, is the one I know because it's my bank, and they've created new accounts. They've said higher interest rates, lock your money away for a year and we'll give you this rate, and so on. But of course, in a cost of living crisis, how many people have money to save in the first place? Exactly.
I mean, I think if you do have money to save, or even just a little bit that you can put away each month, if you're putting that into an account with a high interest rate, then it is still going up, and you're still earning more money than what you're putting away. So if you can do that, then continue to do that. And while the news isn't great for savers, what you can do now is lock in a fixed rate saving account with a high interest rate, and then you've usually got about 14 days grace before you need to put in money. So maybe if you can do that today and then wait a bit before you put in money, but that fixed rate will be fixed.
Because those fixed rates might go down in the next few days as a result of this.
So because of the freeze of the base rate today, banks could decide to decrease rates because there's less competition, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? With the increasing rates, banks are competing against each other to keep customers.
And some of those accounts are actually literally put in £50 a month or something like that. And you only need to put £50 in this month. You don't need to put thousands in them or something like that.
Exactly. Some of them literally only need you to put £1 in, and then that'll still be going up each month and you'll still be earning interest. Some of them will have a fix where it'll be a maximum amount, say £150. So it really depends. So what you need to do is maybe look at comparison sites and use things like that and find out which bank account is best for you, and do that sooner rather than later, just in case banks do decide, oh, this is the opportunity now, we can drop rates because competition
I never make a decision about my money without consulting either Captain Crunch or in The Sun, or indeed Martin Lewis on the money saving expert
Those
website.
are the ones, and they change really all the time. And banks, like this week you said with Nationwide, they change all the time and new accounts come out. So just keep an eye on it and make sure you're watching.
What about people with mortgages? Because, of course, there are so many people, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people coming to the end of a fixed-rate mortgage, and there are so many people who did it maybe for 2 years, maybe for 5 years, and you might go, especially, interest rate 5 years ago, very, very different to what it is now, and you might get a very rude awakening if you're coming off that. What sort of advice would you give to those people?
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Because the first thing I would do is talk to your lender. If you're really struggling and you are coming to the end of your mortgage, mortgage or your fixed term, then do talk to your lender and say, look, I can't do this, or I can't manage my money like this, and they may be able to help you. If they do say, yes, we can change it, while it will maybe give you a little bit of a grace period now, you'll still have to pay more in the long run, and you still will have to pay the amount agreed. So keep that in mind.
Because you can elongate your mortgage, can't you? You can say, well, I'm in for 25 years, can I make it 30 years? But you got to pay down the line, and the interest presumably will continue to accumulate, so you probably spend more in the longer run.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting one. And I wonder, just in terms of your readers, I mean, you're in touch with your readers all the time. They can know the consumer desk at The Sun does great work. And I mean, what are they saying to you about how the cost of living is? Because it seemed to me, I don't want to cast any aspersions on anybody, but certainly it seemed that really people needed a holiday this summer. But of course, that's, apart from your mortgage, probably the biggest thing that people will do. And there's so many problems in the tourism industry, the airline industry, and so on. Yet people feel they needed to get away. I mean, how much spare cash do people actually have?
I mean, not a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, to sum up, not a lot. People are really struggling, and what we're seeing is that people are reevaluating how they spend their money. And like you say, that comes with treats like holidays. And now we see that as a big treat, because it's few people that can afford a holiday. So people are really having to think how they buy food, how they utilise it, how they make use of things that they already have in their kitchen cupboard, for example, which we didn't really need, which people weren't thinking about that
The whole idea of leftovers isn't really something that people really have thought about that much.
Yes, and because of the panic of things like mortgage rates going up, if you do have a mortgage, you've got to. Some people, like you say, are seeing mortgage rates go up by £1,000 a month. So those people are going to have to completely reevaluate how they spend their money.
Absolutely.
And so, unfortunately, things like holidays.
The reality. Fall by the wayside. Sophie King is a consumer reporter at The Sun. Thank you very much indeed
Thank you for having
coming
me.
in, Susie.